All right, so I have been having someone ask me for years. I've known this person for years, and they've been asking me to teach more, and just I've said I don't have time. I need to, don't have time, don't have time, don't have time. However, because of everything that's happening and all the transitions that are happening and all the questions that are coming up, let me introduce myself. Never mind the tea that's boiling in the background. So, Dr. Freisen, spiritual guide, spiritual guru, all kinds of things. However, for 50 years, I have been a medium. I have been clairvoyant. I have interacted with those who have departed, those who are transitioning. And I see transitions. I see people who are being born, people who are on their way out, and those who have already left. So when it comes to mediumship, I consider myself to be like a train conductor. Um, I have a train and I see people getting on and off the train and getting off at different spots, right, as they transition. So there's multiple levels when you leave this physical plane. And whereas people say, oh, you go to either heaven or hell, that's not correct. There's actually different levels. And I used to be engrossed in this a lot to where it was all consuming when I was younger. Right now, not. I have rules, I have boundaries. So I normally don't advertise, hey, I'm a psychic medium, come so I can read things for you. I only use that mediumship gift when working with my clients in my practice, right? It's I normally only work with people who already are a part of my program, and then I use all of the different gifts that I possess to assist them. But because this whole Hulk Hogan thing came where and people had questions and about that, I just want to make it clear that if you are a medium, the departed can reach out to you. Even, and I know people are making a distinction between the dead and the deceased. I like to say those who have transitioned, because I'm also dealing with people who are still physically in this plane, but they are actively transitioning and they are not necessarily aware that they're actively transitioning, whereas I'm aware that they're actively transitioning. And so sometimes I have interactions with them, whereas they don't know necessarily who I am in the physical. But once you transition from this plane, there's different levels of where you can go. And some people go to places that are filled with torment, and some people go to places where they're kind of in a waiting period. And over the years, where I've had these departed come visit me and talk to me and reach out to people and things of that nature, lots of different things take place. I've had a departed come to this plane to try to take somebody back with them, because that is possible. I've had a departed who was expressing joy, and then someone on this plane was like, well, how can they be happy when all this stuff is falling apart? So let me tell you that although we think in terms of how we present ourselves and we feel, that's not necessarily the case once a person has transitioned. A person's expression of joy or a smile or something like that, it's not necessarily related to what you got going on. And I find that a lot of people who consult mediums are consulting mediums from a selfish standpoint. Now, I have had people reach out to me to find out things like how a person was unalived, and, you know, then exactly who did it, which is different, and that I'm okay with. But I get a lot of people, or in the past, I used to get a lot of people who had guilt. And so they wanted to try to repair something with a person who has transitioned, and that your guilt is not anywhere in their mindset, or not even mindset, but in their plane of existence. They're not concerned with whether or not you came and said goodbye, because they're in a different plane at this point. Or I've had people, they slept with somebody's spouse, so they want to come make it right. I'm not here for that. There's plenty of lower level mediums that you can go to for that kind of stuff. That's not why I exist. Now, I exist for healing and transformation. And yes, there are times when you need to know, when you're dealing with such a massive amount of grief, you do need to know some things. And sometimes the person is giving you things like, this is the person that did this, and these things will help you get closure. That's totally different. So, all right, I'm back. So the rest of what I want to say is that there's people who reach out to the departed for reasons that are not really worth my time. Okay, let's be clear. So there's levels in mediumship, there's levels in psychic abilities, there's levels in clairvoyant abilities, there's levels in spiritual guide, and all these different things. There's levels. That's why I can recognize other people and say that yes, they have a legitimate gift. I can recognize the gift. I can recognize it from birth. I can recognize it before birth. Be truthful, right? So, and I have gone to people that I was like, let's see where their gift is. That's a whole different story. So because this person sent me another thing this past weekend where some misinformation is out there, I would do my best to put some things in perspective for you guys. And when I say misinformation, it's misinformation only from the standpoint of what we can only put out that which we know. But some people are directly putting out information, false information, as a means of making themselves famous, making themselves grandiose, and or getting money, taking things from people just to abuse people and to use people. And I just want my people to recognize what's happening so that you don't fall victim to it. I would encourage you to not just seek out people for your pettiness, right? You can connect with those who have transitioned. And I know there's different levels, and people say, well, I can't reach them because they're at this level. True, but other ones you can reach, and there's ways to do it. And not even one of my friends on here told you guys how to do it, right? So there's multiple ways to do it. So if that's something you're seeking, there's lots of videos out there that can help you. And there's lots of videos of people talking about the afterlife and what it is like and how it's set up. And when I tell you there's layers, there's layers. And when I tell you, yes, people have houses, people have houses. And when I tell you that you can reconnect with someone, you can reconnect with someone. When I tell you that people have the appearance of a body, but not a body, it is the appearance of the body in the sense that they present themselves so that I would recognize them, right? So I would recognize them in a certain form. Sometimes I recognize the energy of a person that has moved into a different form, a new form, right? This does not look the same, but that energy of the person is still there. I was offering dream interpretation on my business in one of my platforms, and someone reached out to me, and as they reached out to me, the departed that they were seeking came to visit me so that I could see the person and I could describe what I was seeing so that the person I was speaking to would know that that was the person, right? That doesn't mean that that is the form that the departed remains in at certain levels in their transition, but that is the form that they needed for me to be able to convey to the other person, right? The query, the person with a question. Okay, so yes, I've always been a psychic medium. Do I put that out there on different levels for people? Not necessarily so, because there's so many reasons. One, I get tired of the low level people. who aren't healed, who aren't high vibing, seeking stuff. And then two, you have to realize when you open yourself up to interact with the departed, a lot of them want to interact with you all the time. There was a point when I lived with one of my grandparents, and literally they constantly were in the hallway, walking the hallway. My grandmother would talk to them, and my grandmother taught me a lot of things, and she would talk to them and stuff, and I could see them as well. And who wants to have these conversations all the time with people who are trying to, seek things? I didn't want to all the time. So anyway, so I've learned how to set up boundaries, and I have what I call a contract, right? You need a ticket to ride. It's the way I look at it. You need a ticket to ride to interact with me, and I get a little irritated when some people come to me that don't have a ticket to ride. That's the reality. So for those of you who are new to mediumship, or you've had something with mediumship, send me your questions. I will do my best to make a video response to you as time allows, because I am running a business and doing multiple things in the middle of it. But for my friend, we've been friends for a long time now, I will continue to purposely educate. As you send me topics, I will educate on those. You could join my school. That's for you.